she's getting a bit louder. I just hope we get to see all the cubs come running out of this long grass. They're going to be so excited to see their mothers after being separated. Fergie, you've got quite a good option. The one lioness has popped up at 3 o'clock.
Good, thanks.
So let's show you another one. One of the other lioness who's climbed up onto a termite mound to get a bit of a vantage point. I guess the good news is for all those 13 cubs, there's a lot of brothers and sisters that they can be kind of semi-stranded with at the moment. There's not too few of them. Oh, Beverly, your question is one that I am very happy to answer, because no, the lioness will certainly not give up looking for these cubs if they do not find them. It will become a more and more urgent matter of priorities for them, and it is highly, highly unlikely that these lioness would abandon the cubs. Their maternal instincts will kick into overdrive, as you can see now, and the fact that they haven't had a snack on their meal is testament to the fact that they really do want to find these cubs. Oh, a little bit of running and excitement. Has she seen one of them? Like I said, there's 13 cubs, 3 of which are the youngest. They're probably around 2.5 months of age now. Then some that are maybe 3.5, 4 months of age, and then another 7 that are about 7 months of age. So 4 different litters amounting to 13 cubs of 3 different shapes and sizes. Well, they're all a fairly similar shape, I guess, but all different sizes. I'm just going to give it a moment or two here. How awesome is this when they pace through that long grass? I had a feeling she was going to drop down into this riverbed. Oh, she's popped up again. There we go. Now, it's just an open sea of grass around us, so the cubs may have kept running further than they maybe normally would have in search of some kind of a structure to seek refuge in, so that's possibly some reason why they are not hearing the gentle contact calls of their mother. Oh, and even though it's soft for us, of course their hearing is far better than ours, so a soft contact call like that will be able to be heard from a much further distance away than we would expect, or at least that our ears would be able to detect. So even if those cubs were maybe 300 or 400, 500 meters away, I'm fairly certain they would be, ooh, pouncing coming. Well, you can see they're not too worried about finding their cubs, and even, oh, here they come. The front line. They've all just come charging in, and I'm not sure how many are here, but a whole bunch of furballs. Look at that, awesome. You can already see there's different sizes. The 7-month-old ones and about the 3.5-month-old ones, it looks like. The smallest ones I cannot see, so I'm actually wondering if these are the Agama Pride, having seen these cubs. I've just relied on some information from the guides, but what I've found is quite often people get their characters mixed up, and they don't have the benefit of having all of you guys making sure that we get our facts straight, and those cubs just didn't seem right. The smaller cub that we saw seemed too big, but maybe it's just that I haven't seen them in a while. Anyway, time will tell, and once we get a little bit closer to these ladies, we can, and maybe when they start snacking, we'll be able to work out what exactly or who exactly they are. Here come some more cubs tumbling in. Oh, awesome. And who knows where they came from. It would be wonderful to know how far it's been that they've had to travel, or how far they fled from this area where the kills were made. Okay, I'm just going to creep forward a little. Oh, actually not just yet. They seem to be coming out a little bit. No, not quite. Let's creep forward a little bit and see if we can't work out what's happening down below in the riverbed. Well, what a relief. The cubs are back. And isn't it funny that as the mothers started playing with one another, the cubs decided to coming out. Tiggs, you've just commented that their camouflage is really something else in terms of how well it is, or how well it works. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. This long golden grass makes for the perfect cover for these lions to dissolve into their surroundings. It's always a bit scary knowing where the edge of these cliffs are with the long grass, so I'm just going to stop here. Let's work out who's who. Take a closer look. These are different lions. I'm fairly convinced the one cub is very, very pale. The one that's in the middle. And I personally don't recognize these, but again, I could well be wrong. The mother would be a good one to take a close look at, but even then I'm not confident that I've spent quite enough time with these lions to be able to confidently say who's who. The fact that there's also only 4 of them so far means that there's 7 missing, if it is in fact the Ngama Pride. But now that their movements seem to be changing a little bit, they seem to be moving further afield now that their cubs are getting older, or at least some of them are. It could be that the 2 lionesses with the smaller cubs have stayed closer to their usual hangouts and not risk bringing them too far away. I'm not too sure. The older cubs seem like they could be the right size to be the 7 older cubs, but these other 2 cubs that are slightly smaller that we can see, that being one of them, and the very pale one to the left of it being the other, those 2 just don't fit in. And that pale lion, she or he certainly does stand out. And I don't remember. Ooh, playtime. Oh, off they go. Hello, John. You've noticed that their eyes are very dark, and yes, lions do have quite dark eyes. I guess as a general rule, they do vary from individual to individual. I'm not sure if the Nkuhuma lioness in the Sabi sands called amber eyes is still around. She had noticeably different eyes, but also this flat afternoon light probably isn't illuminating their eyes as much as a sunny afternoon would. And I'm told that Amber Eyes is still around the Sabi sands doing her thing there, so you'll just have to keep watching, John, and then you'll be able to see a lioness with a slightly paler amber-coloured eye.
The little ones on the left.
Sorry, Ferg?
2 on the left, there's the old guys.
Okay. Oh, as in much smaller ones, to the left of that one on the ledge?
No, I'm not.
Well, it sounds like you guys are getting spoilt today. We'll have the joy of being able to send you from a pride of lions here in the Masai Mara, a few thousand kilometers to the south, with Bryon and some lions in the Sabi sands.
It is amazing indeed, and Scott, yeah, I think everyone's very fortunate today. It's a wonderful Lion Day, I suppose. Now, we're still sitting with the Pride, the Nkuhuma Pride. However, they've split up slightly. Now, what happened was they moved down through this drainage line. There was a huge herd of impala that we saw just up on the edge of the clearing. We showed you just before we before you left us. But what happened was there were some monkeys alarm calling in the trees, and the monkeys actually alerted the impala. The impala then picked up that there's potential danger around, and they moved off. Now, they headed, it's almost like those impala headed back towards the rest of the pride, or the younger lions and the males, but I don't think they had come through that other drainage line yet. Now, 2 of the other females moved through this drainage line, which is a different one, and they went through the thicket round the back behind us. We can't see them. I'm not sure where they are at the moment, but it's amazing to see how active these lions are so early on in the afternoon. They clearly are quite hungry. They do want to hunt, and it'll be interesting to see this all unfold. We may miss a hunt. They might not be lucky while we are out. They could potentially only hunt later this evening, but it is very interesting to see, and hopefully something unfolds and we get to see. Now, I can hear Franklin's alarm calling in that behind us. Something startled them now. I wouldn't be surprised if those lions moved through the thicket and those Franklins were startled by them. It's a lovely view of this lioness though. She's just lying, resting at the moment. Beautiful big lioness. It's also nice and cool in this drainage line. Perfect spot for these lions to rest, but I don't know where those others are, if they're just lying up on the other side of this drainage or if they've moved right around. Retro Face, you're a new viewer. Welcome to Safari Live. Great to have you with us. And you asked if the lions are more active at night. They generally are, Retro Face. They generally are. And we were discussing this earlier. The pride of lions, fortunately we found them just before 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they were moving, trying to hunt. They had seen some giraffe, and they were on the move trying to hunt some giraffe, but they weren't very lucky. Now what happens is generally the lions prefer moving around under the cover of darkness. It gives them better chance of hiding, better chance of stalking, and potentially a better chance to hunt. That's when lions are generally more active, but it just goes to show you they will move around during the day, especially if they are hungry and they do need to find some food. Now they're resting at the moment, but I think they are still very curious and very aware of what is going on around them, and they are in search of something to potentially hunt. Now we're going to go from these lions which are resting at the moment to the lions that Scott has in the Masai Mara that are very, very active at the moment. Let's go and have a look.
Hello everyone, and good to have you back. These cubs are providing us with lots of entertainment, and they seem in a very, very playful spirit. Now, I know I told you that these were the Agama Pride, which I do not think they are, and I also told you that they apparently made 4 wildebeest kills. That I'm also believing was nonsense, because their behavior is certainly not of hungry lions that have just made a kill. These cubs will definitely be eating meat. They're old enough to eat meat, both the different sizes, as well as their mothers, and none of them are full-bellied. So something is not quite right here with regarding that information we got. Or maybe I'll be proved wrong, because I can just see the mother now, the one on the left here quickly. Oh, would you believe it? That is the joy of nature. You just do not know what is going to happen and when. And as I think that was physically impossible that they wouldn't start snacking on it, she decides to put her head in the pantry and pull out a wildebeest. What a pleasant surprise. and I'm fascinated that these cubs haven't sniffed it out yet. Maybe they're just waiting for mom. Look, it hasn't even been opened yet. A whole fresh, tasty wildebeest all ready for dinner. And I'm sure as soon as this lioness decides to open it up, these cubs are going to get stuck in. Catch is that, oh, here they come. Here comes the other lioness with one cub following it, and that cub is straight in on the wildebeest, and I'm sure it's going to be wrestling, growling, semi-attacking it, as young cubs so often like to do when they come across a fresh kill like this. Look at it. It just did a somersault just about. Let me see if I can't get us into slightly. Let's just give it some time. I've got a feeling the grass is going to get very flattened in that area quite quickly, and then we'll be able to see what's going on. Look at those cubs. They're so happy. I can't believe they haven't sniffed it out yet, to be honest. They were playing around all through this area. Paula, hello, and good to have you with us. You would like to know how high or what is the mortality rate of lion cubs in the wild? It will depend on luck of the individual pride in the individual area that they may be living in. Some areas have got more threats to lion cubs than others, i.e. higher lion populations, or you go through some stages where a new coalition of males may be coming into an area, wreaking havoc, killing all the cubs in the area, releasing them others of the responsibility of raising them, and thus allowing the new blood to get into the system. But on average, I'd say probably 30%, 25 to 30% of lion cubs will make it all the way to adulthood. But there are, of course, very varying figures regarding this. The bottom line is all cubs, be it lion, leopard, cheetah, all face very high risk from other predators, as well as even herbivores like buffalo, elephants. They will kill cubs if they come across them. Not so sure about elephants, now that I've said that, but I'm sure it has happened that elephants do come across young cubs, get the scent of lion, and more often than not, elephants will chase adults. And if they, of course, not quick enough to catch an adult lion, but a young cub may not be so fortunate. Oh, there goes another somersault, almost out of the frame. These cubs seem to be having a wonderful time with their dinner and evidently new toy to start with. I guess they are only tackling a stationary target, but still useful for them to practice latching on what will become their staple diet for years to come. At least certainly during the migration months, when they have these multiple opportunities to cash in on. Now, so far, I've only seen 2 lioness. I thought there was 3 earlier, but I think I just got a little bit confused with the long grass, and one may have popped up in a different area that I accounted for another. So apparently these 2 lioness have got 4 wildebeest kills here, which is quite something. They've just pulled the one out now that we can just about see. And I'm wondering if the one lioness that's heading off down this lugger now is not going off to enjoy one of the other kills on her own. She's melting into the long grass at about 11 o'clock. It'll actually possibly be quite a nice shot. I love seeing them dissolve through the grass. There she goes. Hello to Katie. You would like to know why some lions eat their own cubs. I don't think that is the case. Lions that were not fathered by certain males or from a different pride will be killed and possibly eaten by other prides or other coalitions of males. Or if a lioness does come across one of her cubs that has been killed, and the same goes for leopards, they may occasionally feed on them, but they don't kill them themselves. I'm very, very certain that that's not something that happens, because then we wouldn't have any lions on the planet if they all killed their own cubs. So I think you may have just, maybe I misread your question, got a little bit confused, but certainly a lion will not kill its own cubs. Only that from neighboring, therefore enemy pride, or a coalition that did not father them. So I hope that clears that up. The story about leopard eating their own cubs, this poor leopard, I've forgotten her name, I've forgotten which leopard it was, but it was many years ago when I started my career in the Sabi Sands, in the southern Sabi Sands. Came round the corner and had this horrifying sight of a female leopard eating her cub that had been killed by hyenas. And I guess it's kind of possibly a leopard funeral, bit of closure on the matter, and I guess some sustenance for what can be a very tricky environment for all these animals to live in. As successful as predators can be, they do go through bad patches when their prey is just one step ahead of them, and I guess to forego that protein and those nutrients, even if it is their own cub, would not be something wise to do. Oh, seems like these cubs are not too concerned about eating and are happy to play. They will still be nursing on milk, but the bigger cubs will certainly be, the bigger two will certainly be feeding on meat. They look about 4 or 5 months old, and the rough kind of age that they'll start feeding on meat is from about 3 months of age. The rain is pitter-pattering, but thankfully it's coming from behind us, and we've got our flaps down protecting the rear of the vehicle. But if it does continue, we may have to batten down the hatches again, which would be a great pity, because these cubs are putting on a great display of how much fun they can have practicing stalking and tackling one another, which will all become so useful in future years. Let's have a look at Mom quickly now that they've disappeared into the long grass, Ferg. Not that she's in short grass, but we can see that she's beginning to cash in on her meal. A young wildebeest that would be probably around 5-6 months old now. It would have been born in January, February down in Tanzania this year, before making the 400-odd kilometer journey up to where we are here. They've still got a little bit further north to go before they start thinking about turning back south to Tanzania. Okay, very good. We are going to wait for these lions to pop into slightly better view and send you back down to Bryon to see what his lions are up to.
Well, these lions, just as I thought, have decided to rest. Oh, what did this one see or hear? There's one lioness. And the other lioness joined. You see, now we can see two of them. I'm not sure if there's still another one behind us somewhere in the thicket. So this one came out just where we thought she was. We had those Franklin alarm calling. There's still a Franklin. It's quite distressed behind us, alarm calling a little bit. That other lioness is possibly around there somewhere. But you can see now their plans of hunting have changed slightly. They're going to rest a bit and possibly try later when it gets darker. I think the idea was to have a look through the thicket or through the drainage line and just see if there wasn't perhaps something hiding in there that they could trying to hunt. Copy M4, thank you very much. As I said from the beginning, they obviously were hungry, trying to hunt, looking around, seeing if there was anything that presented an opportunity. Unfortunately not. They decided to rest again, conserve their energy, and they'll probably wait until it gets darker and then try again. Just see the two lionesses. There might be one or two behind us. I can't actually see right now. Just trying to look around here. I just hear Franklin alarm calling, and you might be able to hear it too. So temperature's starting to drop now in this drainage line. Still next. They Oh, sorry. The lions, they don't necessarily have to sleep for 18 hours a day. They can sleep up to 18 hours a day. So still next, the thing is with lions, now we need to remember this, the lions, and some people may disagree with me, but lions are not lazy. Lions are clever, in my opinion. Now, the reason I say that is lions will rest during the day when they don't need to use up their energy. They'll conserve the energy and they wait till the evening when it's cooler. It's a bit easier for them to move around. They don't have other animals alarm calling at them as much, like monkeys or baboons. They're not drawing a lot of attention to them. So ideally, those are the best times to move around. That is why they generally rest during the day. However, we just saw this afternoon, we saw these lions moving at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not something that happens often, but it does happen. It does happen. So the lions will still move around, all depending on whether or not they're hungry, if they want water, what the situation is. So yes, they can sleep up to 18 hours a day. It doesn't mean they have to. It doesn't mean they have to have that amount of rest. And just remember, even though it appears as if they are sleeping, they are still completely aware and alert, and they know exactly what's going on around them. If I had to jump off this vehicle now, those two lionesses would be up in a flash. I can guarantee you. Now, that just shows you that they're not completely sleeping, not like we sleep. They do still know what's going on around them. What I may do is I may try to get out of here and just see if we can't see those two males again, get another view of them, but they were in that drainage line, so it might be a bit difficult to see them. I think I've got an idea of where they went because they followed these lionesses. So we shall see. Now, Jackie, lions can mate any time during the year. There's not a specific mating season. So it all depends on whether or not the females are in estrus and if the males are around and they're willing to mate. So females can definitely mate any time of the year, or lions at least. Lions will mate any time of the year. There isn't a specific mating season for lions. Now, it's been wonderful to sit with these lions and follow them, but it's been so exciting because we weren't sure, were they going to potentially hunt the giraffe? I think the giraffe saw them or smelt them and they moved off, and then the lions carried on moving. Thought they're going to try hunt impala. Monkey's alarm called, alerted the impala moved off. They could tell there was something in the area that's potentially dangerous just by those monkey alarm calls. So it just shows you there's it's very exciting, and you know that at the end of the day, patience is very important and key. We've been sitting with them all afternoon, but if you want to see lions hunting, if you want to see that activity, you've got to be patient. You've got to sit with them and you've got to spend time with them. Machine gun nest, you say these lions look like they've had too much safari live. Yes, they've been the center of attention for quite some time. I think what I'm going to do is let me move out of this drainage line. Going to go have a quick look and see where those males are, just so we have an idea, and then we can decide if we move on or if we try to find something else. The thing is, though, Murphy's Law, we decide to do that. Next thing is lions get up and something walks into them, or they bump into something and they hunt. I've watched lions resting like this before in the afternoon and heard of impala, came running through, didn't see the lions, ran straight into them, and the lions ended up killing two impala. So who knows? But let me get out of here so long for now, I think. And we'll see if we can find the two big males. But let's head back across to my friend Scott, who's still got his lions too.
So the lioness has ever so slightly repositioned her wildebeest snack. The cubs are still not showing too much interest in feeding. I guess they could be waiting for the easier cuts. Oh, well, there's one that's just started. The easier cuts of meat to be presented to them by their mother's ability to open the carcass far better than they can. And Mr. Brent Leo Smith has kindly provided me with some information regarding his thoughts on who these lions could be. He has actually seen them before, and he thinks it is a pride of lions called the sausage pride, or sausage, depending on how you'd like to pronounce that word. I like to say sausage. And he says that there could be distant relatives or kind of a pride breakaway further south from here, but he definitely recognized the description of the slightly pale, smaller cub, as well as what should be 3 lioness. So we've only seen 2 confirmed, but there was a report that there was a 3rd here. For those of you who may have just joined, this lioness and her counterparts apparently managed to take down 4 wildebeest. The one she's feeding on now is a youngster, so not very big, but apparently there's another 3 stashed somewhere. I'm guessing that's where the other 2 lioness could be, feeding in peace. This one's been left to babysit while she snacks, and there's 4 cubs of 2 different ages playing around in the long grass surrounding her. Now, I've just got a question through, wondering if these little cubs were fathered by Scarface, and I'm actually not too sure. Good to have you with us, Sinatra. Judging by the area that they're in, I don't think Scarface would be their father. He tends to hang out further south from here, from what we've seen, and closer to the Mara River, as well as on the eastern side of the Mara River. You never know, though, and like we said, we're still working out who these lions are, where exactly their territories are, and how far they move. There is a chance that these lions could move far enough to fit into his territory, but I'm guessing it's another coalition of males that would have fathered these cubs. This is a long, long way from where we've seen Scar. So it's unlikely, Sinatra. It would be wonderful if there were some more baby Scars popping up into this area, as he has got incredible genes. He's a magnificent male lion. But what I can assure you is that he's doing a good job spreading his seed in the area where he is dominant, which is kind of in the central parts of the reserve as a general rule, whereas here we're a little bit further north and east, not very close to the river. Why does it look like this lioness is trying to do a chokehold? Is she trying to teach her cubs, or am I just confused as to which part of the body of the wildebeest she's chewing on? Well, interesting that one of the cubs has started getting stuck in, but the others haven't. Obviously they're not concerned, and they know there's plenty of food around. And one of the interesting things about this sighting that we're enjoying now is that it defies normal lion behavior. I mean, I know you guys were discussing with Bryon earlier, are lions more active at night? And yes, as a general rule, there's no two ways about it. They certainly are. But it can depend, and there's no set rules. These lioness provided us with a very good example of that today. In broad daylight, probably an hour or so before we got here, I'm guessing from the reports that we had, they were up and about hunting wildebeest to the point where they managed to succeed in bringing 4 down. Of course, this would have been aided, or their behavior would have been assisted by the fact that they could have been sleeping and a herd of wildebeest could have just run into them, and that would have triggered their opportunistic hunting prowess, where it would be unwise to wait until it's dark to try and hunt something when you can very easily do it during the day as well. Seems like they're making some headway on dinner. And I'm glad we all got to see my theory get proved completely wrong by the interesting behavior that we witnessed. I mean, who knows when exactly the lions killed these wildebeest, but from the time we arrived on the scene, it was at least 45 minutes before they started feeding on them. And in all of my years, that is something that I've never seen. Usually, as soon as lions make a kill, there's lots of growling and arguing amongst Pride members as to who gets the best bites, and it's not something that they wait for. Often before the animal's even dead, they're starting to feed on it as and where they can. So this behavior was really interesting, and I'm very happy we all got to see me get proved wrong. And another good example of the fact that you just never know what is going to happen out here. Although the more time we spend out here, we are going to get much better insight into the individuals as well as their species and what they like to get up to. Not the best view, guys, so I apologize for that, but we're on the edge of what is called a lugga, or a riverbed, and I would not like to go toppling over the edge. I don't think Ferg would be very impressed.
You're on your own then.
Nor the boss. And I'm trying to nurture my vehicle as much as possible. My vehicle's called Paka. She is an absolute legend. And on all these bumpy roads we have to travel, on this massive playground we have, I don't want to take any chances on this mobile office of ours. Interesting question through from Travi. With the surplus of kills that they've made today, how long will the carcass last before it becomes too rancid and maggot-ridden to prevent the lions consuming it? I would say in the cool Mara climate, 3 days, quite easily. I've seen lions feeding on the most atrocious, old, rotting carcasses, but that's in more desperate scenarios, and I'm fairly confident these lions know that they have reached a time of year that they probably long for the 7-8 months that the migration is not here, because there is a bounty of food, and as they sit and feed here, there are thousands of wildebeests within only a few hundred meters of them. I would love to show them to you, but there's a big rain cover that we've got up protecting the rain which is coming from behind us. But there's just so many options that they wouldn't be forced to desperate measures. So again, it all depends on the circumstances and even the individual. Us as humans can often be related to wild animals. We are the same species, yet we behave very differently in different parts of the world. We eat differently in different parts of the world. And the same goes for lions, and all wild animals really. They each have their own little intricacies, personalities, and behaviors depending on the area that you may find them in. Hello to Jeffrey, who's watching all the way in Texas. Hope things are good out in Texas. Never been there. Maybe one day I'll pop in and visit. And you'd like to know why they stashed their kills. I think I probably incorrectly used the word stashed. I think they would have simply killed them and left them where they found them. The grass is so long here, they wouldn't have felt the risk of vultures seeing them or other animals, and that's the kind of the main reason why lions will stash kills, to hide them from the beady eyes of vultures, who can then alert other scavengers like hyena to a kill. I think it was merely the fact that the grass was very long that it appeared stashed, and I think they were just leaving them wherever they dispatched them until they found their cubs. So apologies for probably incorrectly using the term stashed there. Okay, what is the time? We've got a little bit of a trip to get back to camp, and we still need to batten down the rain flaps before we do so. So I'm going to be saying temporarily goodbye, and certainly the lions will be saying goodbye, but hopefully we'll be able to show you one or two things on our way back to camp. If not, it's been wonderful to have you on board, and we're going to be sending you back down south to Bryon.
Thanks very much, Scott, and what a lovely sighting with those lion cubs and that pride up in the Mara. Now, I've found the rest of the pride, and it appears as if, well, there's just one youngster with his head up, lying off to my left, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, the other 5 youngsters over here, and 2 lionesses. We'll show you them shortly. They are just lying in front of me. See, the rest of the pride did settle down just on the other side of the previous drainage that we were in. You can probably hear the knocking of a bearded woodpecker knocking on a dead stump. And then one of the males, there he is, just lying off to the left. There we go. So we found one of the males. The other one is just up to the back, off to the left there, behind those bushes. He's lying over there somewhere. We saw him on our way down looking for these. So just as I thought, lions resting, they'll wait until probably until a bit later, and then decide to move around and possibly try and hunt. Now the decision is, do we stick around with them, or do we leave them and potentially try find them a little bit later? I don't know. It's always a tough call. And I think for the moment, you know what, it's starting to cool down. Maybe these lions decide to get up and move in the next 10-15 minutes. Maybe only in an hour. You know, they got up and they were moving around this afternoon, so they might decide to hold on for a little bit longer, or rest for a little bit longer rather. Lovely view of this little one. You can see already some scars around the face. They clearly get very aggressive with each other when they are feeding, when they are at a kill. But it's been a very exciting afternoon. I was really excited when we started the drive and we saw them moving around. Plus, you asked if any of the Birmingham males, any of their offspring have reached adult or sub-adult stage. Well, I suppose these youngsters here are sub-adults. Just trying to think now how old they are. Everyone, I do apologize. I get confused sometimes with the different lion prides I find. I can't remember now when these young Nkuhuma cubs were born. They're probably about a year old now. No, they must be older than that. I'm trying to think. If any of you just give me, any of you can remember exactly how old they are, please let me know, because I can't remember. For the life of me, I can't remember exactly how old they are. I'm trying to think of lions in the other prides. I don't know, Liz. I'm not sure actually if any of the lions from the Birmingham males, any of their offspring have reached adulthood. It'd probably be best to ask James or Scott. They've been around this area a lot longer than I have, and they've been viewing these lions a lot longer, so I don't know if they know of any instances that these Birmingham males have had offspring reach that age, adulthood. Henk, thank you very much. You said the cubs are about a year old. I thought so. Sure, thank goodness. So they are about a year old, so they're still young. I suppose once they reach a year and a half to 2 years old, they're considered sub-adults. So a little bit longer to go, but to be honest, I think they at a good age now. They seem to be doing very well. So the chances of them reaching adulthood or sub-adulthood, pretty good. A lot of birds giving their evening or late afternoon chorus. The woodpeckers are knocking, the francolins are calling. I could hear a barred owlet calling. Now last night we were very lucky, we found 2 of them. I wonder if we find an owl this evening. I'll try my best to see if we can find a little owl. Oh no, I wonder what this youngster found. Unless it's looking for the other females. Now they're probably about, from here I would say they're about 200 meters away, 150 to 200 meters away, in that direction that young cub was looking, in that direction. So oh, look at that, that's actually a lovely view of that lion. Isn't that beautiful? So those 2 lionesses were resting in the drainage line. They went to have a look if there was anything to hunt, but unfortunately no luck. Which is the way it goes sometimes. Riti, now you asked at what age would lions move out independently. So Riti, it depends. Usually with females, they tend to stay within the pride, so that just increases the size of the pride. With the young males, I would say at about 3 to 4 years old, they may possibly be pushed out. It depends though, Riti. About 4 or 5 years old, these males start looking to look for territory or to explore a little bit more and potentially set up a territory of their own. It also depends if they're males that come in that chase those males out, that threaten them. Those males will then run away. And I have seen in the past, I've seen young males join other prides. They hang around, and eventually the pride accepts them, and because they realize they're no threat. And I have seen males from one pride join another pride, obviously when there was no male around. If it's a coalition, obviously the males at about 5, 6 years old, they start trying to set up territories for themselves and potentially challenge other coalitions or other males for dominance, for territory. But I would say lions are actually in their prime, and I'm referring to males from about 6 or 7 years old up to about 9 or 10. That's really when they're in their prime, and they probably won't be challenged for their territory. Now it sounds like Batman has soldiered through and he's climbed on the vehicle, he's behind the camera, and he's with Taylor, and they would like to say good afternoon to you.
Hello everybody, better late than never I suppose. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today, as Bryon was just telling you, is Craig, and we also have a special guest holding on for dear life, especially while I'm driving, and it's Tara, and we're totally going to say, are you ready to say hello to Tara? What do you think, Craig? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for the full view, was I? Windswept from the airport.
Straight off the plane and straight into the sands. I'm sure she's very happy to be back in the African wilderness. But I have a beautiful view to show you, and I think you're all going to be very impressed by the scene that we have this afternoon. It is just absolutely gorgeous. And I suppose we're not late because we still made it in time for the sunset. What do you think about that? Drakensberg Mountains in the background, beautiful clouds, and the sun just popping below them now. Maybe we'll find our Franklin too. I just heard one calling, seeing as though they've been avoiding me for the last few days. Now, you know, I always say this, that is, well, screenshot worthy. Of course, it'd make a great wallpaper, but that's one of the prettiest sunsets I think I've seen here in the last year, quite easily. Very, very, very pretty. And there's even a couple of starlings just in the shrub, Craig, just in front of us. It might be quite a nice little silhouette. I know they're a bit too low. It's a pity that tree's not higher. But the Birchall starlings are out. They're having a last minute sort of sing of their song before they head for cover and, well, rest throughout the night until we see them again tomorrow morning. Look at that glow, that red glow. Wonderful. Now, remember, this is live, this is interactive, this is happening right now. You've seen so much action already with James, with Scott, with Bryon, and hopefully we'll be able to find a spotted cat, because that is going to be my mission this afternoon, is we're going to check around in some of Mvula's favorite places, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get to see him. Or you never know, Tingana, the last minute leopard, that could be on the cards. But unfortunately, we're not going to be extending the show like we said we were going to be doing, just because Craig has gone for a root canal, and he's a chubby bunny at the moment, swollen cheeks, not feeling 100%, not his normal chatty self. You know, Craig, we've always got to tell him to keep quiet while we're on air. He makes such a racket, that one. So we're just going to let him have a bit of a rest, and he will be back tomorrow and ready for another adventure. Bryon, however, is still sitting with the Nkuhuma Pride. It was quite exciting. I saw them earlier showing some interest in the giraffe. Perhaps they'd try a second attempt at those giraffe. But let's go back across to him and see what they're up to.
Now, these lions are very comfortable and relaxed. I don't think they are going to move anytime soon, and as I say that, one lioness has just picked up her head just in front of me. Have a look here. Let's see. Like I say, it's very, very difficult. There we go. So I wonder, excuse me, let me just call one of the other guides in. Mike, do you copy, Mike? Mike, I'm not sure if you saw the two lionesses in that drainage line, just to the, or north up that drainage line. Yeah, affirmative. Okay, copy. And then the rest of the Pride is, you know, there's that little mud wallow just as you come through the dip to the south or southwest. There's a little mud wallow southwest of Central or west of Central, and the rest of the Pride is just down towards the drainage line. So it sounds like those other two lionesses are still lying in that drainage line. They haven't moved. Or have a look, there's a little bit of a yawn. Now, that's often a good sign. Lions lifting their heads, yawning, stretching. That's a sign that they potentially will get active. So we'll see. Maybe this lioness decides to get up, move, and possibly meet up with the other lionesses. Let's sit around for a few more minutes. Woodpecker is knocking. It reminds me of some of the trackers I used to work with. If you potentially had a late night with guests and you sat around a fire and obviously enjoyed a few beverages, and which is part of the safari, I think, and everybody has a bit of fun, and the next morning if you're feeling a little under the weather, the trackers would often say, you've got woodpeckers in your head, don't you? I think it's quite an accurate statement. Woodpeckers in your head. And if you hear the knocking sound of these woodpeckers at the moment. You can hear the bearded woodpeckers are calling at the moment. That territorial knocking sound, that's what it is. Have a look at that male quickly. He is lying flat on his back, legs up in the air, and he seems very comfortable. Head upside down. Look at that. Is it Tink? Sorry, I couldn't hear that name properly. So, you said you... Oh, Tink, you say you wish you were so relaxed. Yes. Well, these lions are clearly not fazed by anything. I'm just listening to Mike quickly. Copy. Thanks, Mike. I'm going to sit here with the rest of the pride for now. It sounds like a one lioness got up. So, and that could... oh, you see, I thought she just changed position. It wasn't necessarily moving, she just changed position, lay down again. But this cleaning is a good sign. That's a sign of them starting to get active, possibly wake up. Francis from Israel. Francis, these lions at the moment, they don't have mange. They had mange, if you remember correctly. They did suffer from a little bit of mange, and those might just be scars on these young lions. You could see some of the fur missing and that, but I think they've recovered from it completely. I don't think they have it anymore. And this was during the drought last year. Remember I think it was the Styx Pride. They lost cubs to mange. We had a few cubs with mange, and they had white muscle disease last year, and it's because of malnutrition. It was a very bad drought, no water, and the food that they were feeding on, the animals they were feeding on, were unhealthy, and that affected the lions negatively. So all those factors caused the lions to suffer a little bit too, but they pulled through. They've done very, very well, and they recovered. Meridial, the lions that we have here and the lions we have in the Mara are indeed Panthera leo, the only lions, the African lions. So they are indeed the same species. They're not, suppose they're distant cousins, because these ones are in South Africa and those ones are in the Mara. So very distant. No, but they are the same species. Beautiful paws of that lioness. She's cleaning herself. Now remember, that tongue is incredibly rough and has little hairs or barbs on the tongue, and the ability to clean themselves with that tongue is incredible. It's a very, very rough tongue. Look at that claw. See that dew claw? So that did you see it? You caught a glimpse of the dew claw there. It's that very large, sharp claw. Basically the thumb claw. I suppose that's the best way I could describe it. The dew claw. And the lioness, I think what she did, she just basically contracted her muscle, caused that claw to come out while she was cleaning it. But you saw how sharp that is. Now they'll use that to grab onto prey when they are hunting. Incredibly sharp claw. Still cleaning, the other one's rolling around. I wonder if they are going to decide to stand up for us. I'm terribly sorry, Alice. It was a game drive question. Just hold on a second for me, Alice. Mike, if you copy, make your way straight in. You'll see the vehicle tracks heading off kind of west down to the drainage line. You should see me down. I'm not quite in the drainage line yet, just on the edge. Sorry, Alice, go ahead with your question. Henry, it doesn't sound like it for the moment. If you'd like to make your way in, if anyone else is interested, I will make space. Copy. When you came onto Central in the beginning and you first saw me, I'm basically in that same position, just down closer to the drainage line. The rest of the pride are lying down here with the two males. Sparrow, you asked if the lions get fleas. Now they can get fleas from time to time, but they do groom themselves and clean themselves regularly, so they try and get rid of the fleas. But yes, like most of the animals out here, they will indeed pick up some fleas from time to time. Obviously helps when it rains, gets rid of all those little or I suppose fleas and ticks sometimes that sit on them. But the lions do constantly clean themselves, getting rid of the ticks and fleas that sit on them. And then tomorrow morning it will be an all-girl drive from Djuma. So we've got Tara, who's returned. She used to present on Safari Live a while ago, so she's back and she's going to be helping out for the next week or so, and or maybe a bit longer, I'm not sure. So Tara and Taylor, I don't want to say the terrible T's, so I won't. But Tara and Taylor will be out tomorrow morning. They said I could have the morning off for some reason. Maybe it was because I made Taylor breakfast this morning. James and Faisal, you were actually wondering how the bush breakfast turned out. Well, no one has died yet, so it went fairly well, I think. Senzo, what do you think?
Nah, very good.
Very good. Oh, thank you, Senzo. Senzo enjoyed it. So
it was nice.
Senzo filmed all of it, and we're going to have a Safari Live story up soon for all of you to enjoy, hopefully, and obviously comment on it. But it sounds like everybody enjoyed it, unless they were just being very nice. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we went to it until we get leave so we can talk about it.
Senzo says he's waiting until I go away on leave, and then he'll be honest. You see, we were speaking about the grooming, and you can see the lions cleaning themselves there. That lioness and that cub was actually cleaning the other lion, or the other cub. Exquisite Bliss, you were saying perhaps I got the morning off so I can cook everyone breakfast again. Perhaps even Amanda joined us. She kept a watchful eye on me, make sure I was doing things properly. But even Amanda said she enjoyed it. And I think also to give her the morning off, she didn't have to cook breakfast for us. So she was a little spoilt too. Look at that lioness smelling the air. See how she lifted her nose up? Not sure what she smells. Let's see. I wonder if they are going to get up soon. She definitely smells something in the air. There we go. A stretch. Let's see if she yawns again. I wonder if she'll yawn again for us. Or a stretch. Let's see. She may just change positions, lie down somewhere again, or she could potentially go and walk and look for those other lionesses. I wouldn't be surprised if the other lioness gets up and decides to join her. Beautiful view. Look at that. Look at those eyes. Just as I thought, the other lioness just got up. There we go. Also a yawn and a stretch. Look at that again. Our patience paid off. They've decided to get up and move. Now let's see. They might just head straight towards those other lionesses. I wonder if these youngsters are going to follow them. I think so, because we haven't seen buffalo for a few days, and I'm sure we would have probably heard some oxpeckers if there were buffalo nearby, or I'm sure we would have seen them. Somebody would have seen them. You see, just as I was saying, sometimes these lionesses get up, move around, change position, lie down again, and that's exactly what they've done. I think what we are going to do is we're probably going to leave the Pride now. I don't think they're going to move too far. Possibly just going to change position, lie down there for a few more minutes, and possibly join up with those other lionesses a little bit later. But we've had such a nice afternoon with them. We've had a wonderful, exciting afternoon with them. They almost hunted. They were really, really curious. They were looking around. Just didn't play out the way they wanted it to. But such a lovely sight here, and to see all of them together, the males following, the cubs following, and the lionesses doing the leading. Now we're going to leave them, I think, because they're just going, they're lying up not too far from us, they're lying down again. So let's move on. Let's go across to Taylor and find out what her plan is for the last little while of drive, and we'll see if we can find some owls.
Hopefully we'll find some owls, yes. Now, I'm so sad. I think the Nkuhumas must have got up a little bit too early, and in terms of trying to hunt, because now that they're sitting down, I'm a bit disappointed. I really am. Those silly lions. I thought that they were going to get up and put on a real show. I talked them up so much this morning, and there they have gone, letting me down. But we're on the new road now, the one that runs past the Gari repeater. We're just having a quick look here. As you know, this road can sometimes bring many amazing sightings. So we'll see what we can find around here. We've got obviously Craig, the owl spotter, so who knows, maybe we get to see a pearl-spotted owlet or perhaps a barred owlet. The barred owlets really seem to be out in full force at the moment. And a scops. But I think if we're wanting to find a scops owl, we might have to go and check around camp, as there is a pair that are living in the DRC at the moment. I don't know. Tara, what animal would you like to see in terms of nocturnal critters? Would you like to see first time back in South Africa?
I'm sure the viewers can answer that one.
Okay, should we do it? Should we put it to the test? All you long-standing Safari Live viewers that have been watching for many, many, many years now, hashtag Safari Live with what nocturnal critter you think Tara would like to see as a welcome back gift to South Africa. And we'll see what pops up and who can guess first. So that'll be interesting. I don't know, it's not quite dark enough just yet for a spotlight. I don't know, Craig, what do you want to see? You want to see honey badgers, I bet. Should we check our honey badger spot? Maybe we'll check Philemon's cutline and Shibamo. Aardvark? That'd be nice. Porcupine, yeah, all of those animals would be absolutely fantastic. Though I think Mvula ate the last porcupine in the northern Sabi sands though the other night. So I don't know about our chances of finding a porcupine. I might be able to find you a porcupine quill. I would like to see, and I saw there was a post that somebody put on Facebook, I can't remember who put it up, about a brown hyena sighting.
I was going to ask you about
that. Okay.
Where it was.
Where was it?
The little quarry just off the
Gary Main. Okay, that's exciting. So we'll
I actually go down there quite a lot. For some reason I can smell the pacing really well.
Okay.
Everything else, but pacing goes really well for me.
Well, let's go down that way then and have a look if that's the case. I mean, when we go past there often, that used to be Shongile and Hosana's favourite spot. We've seen them there in that quarry a couple of times. Karula used to leave them around there, or they'd go wandering into the quarry. I'm sure it was quite nice to climb up on some of those big mounds. Maybe it's dark enough for a spotlight. Let's see. And also because it's been so warm today, I know the clouds came over, maybe we're going to see a chameleon. And Craig was just telling me now that when he and Connor were in town, they saw a chameleon crossing one of the main roads, so they actually got out and they helped the chameleon across the road, as otherwise it was going to end underneath a tire, and we do not want that. We don't want to see any squashed chameleons, and not everybody is as vigilant as us as guides. So I didn't, but Craig and Connor gave it a helping hand. Oh, okay, so Tara, all the viewers are saying that you are a leopard lady. Woohoo! There we go. You've all got memories like elephants. None of you forget, which is fantastic. Well, that's very good. Maybe one day, would you still remember that I love elephants so much in 10 years' time? Maybe because I've talked the hind leg of a donkey about them. You probably will. I'd actually like to see a chameleon, but if we're going to see a leopard, this is a good spot. Then we'll go all the way up along Gari Main. We'll go and check the quarry out and see if we can find a brown hyena. Wouldn't that be amazing? Most of you know I'm very lucky. I've seen many brown hyenas in my guiding days just because there were so many of them down in the Eastern Cape. But I've never seen a brown hyena, but never say never. Remember, I saw a caracal not so long ago on Cheetah Plains. Yeah, that was amazing. I'll quickly update Tara about that sighting. I was with VM and we're driving and we stopped and I looked in the road and I thought it was a steenbok crossing the road, and I went and then I obviously got into a panic and I went, VM, caracal, because I could not believe my eyes, as I've been in the sands since 2015 and never seen one up here. So that was amazing. We got a very quick glimpse of it and we haven't seen it again since. So you never know, I suppose. Hey, right? I was very excited by that because I was told there were people that have been working in the sands for 20 years and said there are no caracal up here. Well, we proved them wrong, didn't we? You know what? Let's go. I'm going to put serval vibes out there tonight. I'd like to quite enjoy watching a serval. Oh, okay.
I was so excited. It was just before we went live. I was so excited. Come on, let's go live.
Quick link.
Literally, as we went live, it started disappearing. We got the back end of it.
But that is so typical of the special sightings. They disappear so quickly, these shire critters. Okay, so no luck on the new road. Shadow, how disappointing. We've got a very special guest and now you don't appear. Talk about our animals not being accommodating. Isn't that quite selfish of them? I mean, you've flown all the way from the UK to come out here. We better get a last minute leopard tonight.
2,000 miles.
Let's see, who knows, maybe something's crossing this way. perhaps you're wondering if the animals... No, hang on, wait. Did I hear that correctly? Can you have that question again? So I don't know if I... Oh, there we go. Do animals outnumber humans in South Africa? Well, actually, I don't know about that, because we've got a couple of million people living in South Africa. It'd be a close one, though. I'm even just trying to think of our most common antelope in Africa, which is, of course, the impala. I don't even think their populations could come close. What do you think, Tara? Do you think the animals outnumber? If you included the insects and the birds, then yes. But if you talk about just mammals, it's a tough one. You know, it's so difficult, even when they do these census, these counts of these animals, to go out and get a correct figure. You know, they go out in the sky, obviously in helicopters and airplanes, they go out on foot, and they also drive around and they try and count them, but it's not a very accurate way, unfortunately. So I'm sure there are so many mammals that they miss, that they don't see. I mean, how do you count the rodent population, for example? The moles, they live underground. All these types of things. So Paul is a very good question, but I think it's a particularly difficult one to try and answer with the fact that we don't know the entire population, or how many animals there actually are out here just in South Africa. There's so many, but we do have a lot of wilderness areas, though. So it could be close, maybe, but I don't know. Okay, now it's a hard one. Now we're driving on Gowrie Main, and Wendy's doing her thing where she just drives off the road sometimes. That's nice. You're gonna love the car. So I know it is. At least you'll be in Rusty's not too bad. Wendy, though, however, has turned into the tank, as most of you know. And then, like I said, has a mind of her own, and she just goes, no, I think I'm just gonna go off-road over here now. Okay, hold on tight. Poor Craig's had a couple of thorns to the face a few times. Okay, so Gowrie Main, a couple of corrugations, but we're going to get to Shibamu Road now, and that's a particularly popular crossing point for the leopards. We'll quickly check the quarry, and then perhaps we'll go past Twin Dams, and if we have enough time, we'll also try and visit Treehouse Dam and see if anybody has gone down for a late afternoon drink. Maybe our friend the hippopotamus, and I remember seeing hippo tracks heading towards Treehouse Dam. I don't know if there was a hippo in there. It could have been Scuba Steve, who is a little bit on the shy side and likes to hide, well, under the water for longer than 6 minutes. And we'll have to see. But I do see lots of lights coming our way. Now, they look like game viewers, so I wonder what's happening around here. Perhaps the leopards are at Baboon Pan. That could quite well be the case. Now, Craig, you're on my team this afternoon, obviously. When are we going to see an owl? Because I believe you spot them all the time with Bryon. Do we have to hear them first? Like Bryon says he puts Craig in the right spot because he hears the owls, and then Craig spots them for him. So it's nice teamwork. So perhaps I'm being a bit selfish and I'm not listening carefully enough. Otherwise, we're just going to cheat and we'll go back to camp. And I'll drive the car into camp, around the dining room table, so that we can have a look for some owls. Okay, here's the quarry. The quarry's coming up now. Still no leopard tracks. I wonder where the spotted cats have all disappeared to. Okay. Come on, brown hyena. Can you imagine? Might faint. I might faint if that happens. We're just going to pop our noses very quickly into the quarry. We can also go and check if Janet Jackson is still in her hole. See if she's around there. I can imagine this would be a very good spot to find a brown hyena. But sadly, no German shepherds of the bush in here. Right, we're going to carry on searching, and hopefully we'll find some owls, a chameleon, maybe a spotted cat, which I'm sure will make Tara's day. But let's go back across to Bryon. He hasn't found an owl yet, but I'm sure it won't be too long.
Oh dear, Taylor, I don't know if you've just jinxed me. I'll try my best. We'll see, we'll have a look. I heard a pearl-spotted owl calling, but it was a little far, and I don't see anything. Now I'm checking this tree again, and I'm checking this tree on purpose because the other day we had a scops owl around here. I'm not sure if it's still in this area, but it hid away, it hid from us. And as we heard it, and then it disappeared, unfortunately. We actually caught a glimpse of it, but then it flew up into the tree, into the canopy, and we lost it. But we'll see. Let's see if we can find a little owl this evening, quickly. It's been a wonderful afternoon. You can feel the temperature starting to drop. Spanks, you asked if the bush babies only come out at night. They are generally nocturnal. Are those just some leaves at the top there? Yeah. They are generally nocturnal. They mainly come out at night. I have seen bush babies out during the day, but it's not often. It's quite unlikely. They are mainly nocturnal. They come out at night and they move around looking for. Sometimes they feed on insects or fruit, or mainly the sap of trees, of the acacia trees. They enjoy feeding on that. Come on, let's try. Surely there is a little owl out for us. Checking very, very carefully. Try and look for the little silhouette actually of an owl. It's actually quite easy to spot the silhouette now because the trees are all quite bare and open. Eric, there are actually quite a few bats around at the moment. Well, I wouldn't say that many, but there are still bats around. And every now and then we get a glimpse of the bats flying past us. They're very quick, and it's not easy to spot the little bats. But they are around indeed. Now what I'm doing is I'm just scanning these trees quickly, just to see if there is an owl. I can hear owls calling. I can hear Scop's owl calling, but it appears as if they're right on the other side of the drainage line. Trying to hear if I can't hear any other owls calling. Now it seems like those Scop's owls, there are two of them calling in the distance, but behind us, down in the drainage line. That's a pity. Misha, I believe that some of the owls are territorial. Pearl-spotted owls, Scop's owls, they can be territorial, tend to use the same holes for a while, and they do have little territorial disputes. That's often why you get a lot of the owls calling during the day. The pearl-spotted owls, the barred owls, even the Scop's owls occasionally, they will call during the day because they are a little territorial. The bat. Well spotted, since there's a bat flying around. I don't know if we'll be able to show you just off to the distance. They're so quick. Beautiful sound of the fiery-necked nightjar. I always say these bird names are occasionally tongue twisters. The fiery-necked nightjar. Wonderful sound. It's my impersonation of a fiery-necked nightjar. Don't know if it's very good. Now we've only got a few minutes left. I'm going to try our best. Tim, the chameleons, actually, I don't know where. I don't know where do the chameleons go. I'm actually not sure, Tim. I don't know what happens to chameleons in winter, where they hibernate or estivate. It's a form of hibernation. They do hide and conserve their energy in the winter months. And I don't know if the chameleons actually bury themselves underground. I don't think so. I'm not sure, Tim. I'll try and double check. I'll try and find out what happens to chameleons in the winter, and I'll let you know tomorrow. I'm going to have a look because I am curious. We're not going to be extending the drive this evening, just because Craig just got back from the dentist today, so he's not feeling 100% just yet. I'm sure you all understand, but we are still out for a few more minutes. Maybe Taylor has an answer to that question, Tim. Maybe she knows what happens to the chameleons in winter. Let's go find out.
To their cupboards. My dad says that to me all the time. I think I've told this story before. And I used to go to the beach and I couldn't see the fish, and I would throw a tantrum. Sometimes still now, I think it's safe because it's safe fish. Oh,
oh dear, well, it sounds like Taylor's got some gremlins. She didn't manage to find an owl, but she found some gremlins. That's not good. Well, what an afternoon. Very exciting. We got to see lions, spend time with them, got to see them hunting. I'm just listening. I can hear the owls. They're around, but in the distance. It's amazing how far those calls can be heard. Now, what a great afternoon, as I said. And it was nice that we had good old James and Scott up in the Mara, and they had some exciting sightings. The lion cubs with the Pride. James had some crocodiles and hippo, and we followed the Nkuhuma Pride. So a lot going on this afternoon. Very exciting. Don't forget, all-girl drive tomorrow from Djuma, Tara and Taylor. Thank you very much to Final Control, Alice and Chantal, and of course James and Scott in the Mara. Hope they have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much to all of you, as always, for all the questions and the comments. It's always great hearing from you. I am now going to go look for Amanda and see what she's prepared for dinner. But we've all had a wonderful day and an afternoon, and we'll see you tomorrow on Safari Live. Don't forget, 6 a.m. Central African time. Goodbye everyone, and good night.